Hello everyone and welcome to today's Fleet Ops audio commentary. This is Yan Man bringing you another exciting game. This game we have Sutee as the white Romulans in the top right hand corner, and we've got Mort as the yellow Federation. Now today they're playing on a two-player map called the Path to Nowhere. It's a relatively small map. It's 10k by 8k. So we might expect a little bit of rushing. As we can see, everyone is starting off with the pretty much the basics. Get your starports and your mining operations going up first. It'll be interesting to see if we get any warp-in rushes, which it's highly likely. Let's see if this is going to be a warp-in rush. This should be a Starfleet science, and so we're very definitely looking at a warp-in rush. No doubt Sutee as the Romulans is going to be expecting this, and so we're probably going to see rains. Yep, and we shall see how he handles it. Now these two sparred off in a match just before this, and it was quite a nice little matchup. Both players proving to be excellent Fleet Ops players. So we shall see how this turns out. Now, Mort has, scouted the expansion, make sure that Sutee is not doing an early expansion. So it's fairly obvious that he's not. If he was, it'd be very easy pickings for a warp-in rush. But it's not going to happen that way. So we're just going to have to wait a little bit. We got a saber out. Probably another one coming. This seems to be the pretty much a standard build for just any Federation player. They're going to get a warp-in just about as fast as you possibly can. You get about 2 or 3 sabers because you start off with enough resources to be able to do that. Now, the Romulans do the rains, and that is actually an interesting research choice there. That was torpedoes. Now, if Sutee was playing Borg, I would have expected the torpedo refit. But against any of the other factions, the torpedo is just going to have this miss rate that's just not going to be good. So I'm wondering if that's not just a mistake. Maybe Sutee will see that. I mean, that really is baffling. Unless he just knows something that I don't. That could be a mistake. And waste of resources too. So here we see Mort. He's just scouting around the area, getting himself as much of a warp-in visibility as he can. Now he needs to do that because warp-in only allows you to warp in to an area of the map that you've seen. So oftentimes you'll see people scout around the entire base just to give them the visibility into the backside of the resources where most bases are fairly vulnerable. Now, Mort's also quite aware of these cloaked races being excellent scouters. And here we are. And we have the warp-in rush. Yes, right into the corner. Probably the weakest area of this base. Now you have to give Sutee some credit. He's got a nice little layout with his miners and his turrets. It's actually a very nice one. We'll see if Mort can deal with it. And Sutee's also got a decent amount of rains there. He has it easier. He doesn't need as many ships there because he can repair. And Mort's done a good job of bringing in some extra firepower with his sabers, but he's not really doing a good job of microing, taking way too much fire from really those cannons, and literally probably should have stayed down in the bottom. And here he is going to be kind of trapped. He's probably going to lose a couple sabers out of this. And you're seeing that Sutee has really got a nice placement with those turrets. And I don't normally see turrets this early into the game against advanced players, but he's really got a nice layout there. Those turrets are pretty much covering all of his base anywhere he is, with the exception of maybe just a few small places. But really, the Feds are taking a beating here. They're just always constantly in the range of something, and even you see the Starbase getting a couple pot shots in. And that's really just not a good thing. You really need your ships out of range. Part of the problem here too is we've got some long range with your Excelsiors and the short range on the Ambassador, and those are probably grouped together. If you look how they're moving, they those Excelsiors have a longer range than they're being used as, and so they're probably grouped with that Ambassador, who is causing them to clump up. This is just sort of one of those fleet ops, you can call it a bug or whatever, but it just happens to be the way it behaves. It's kind of annoying, and you really need to group your long-range and your short-range vessels together. As it is, that Starbase is getting pot shots off, and he's really just trying to save as much of the... Mort's really just trying to save as much of these Federation ships as he can. Otherwise, it's just going to be a loss. I did see that he got a freighter in there, but not really a good trade-off, especially since you're losing your entire warp-in. And you'll see them, and these ambassadors are pretty interesting, and they are tough little cookies. They've got a special reroute power that allows them to up their defense by 10 or 20. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you'll see them taking damage, and then a player will toggle that ability, and suddenly they just seem to stop taking much damage. So anyway, Sutee is clearing out the expansion area, and he's probably doing a smart thing by setting up his turrets before he actually sets up his mining operation. He's not looking to lose that when he sets it up. We have Mort over here, who has forgone the setting up of turrets, but he's making a trade-off there. He's actually getting resources, so he's mining from 2 moon pairs, but he's really undefended at the moment. So it's a bit of a trade-off. And so Sutee is going to take his offensive initiative here and move in on this expansion, which is wholly undefended. And he should be able to make pretty short work of this. And he's caught the constructor just in time to stop it from completing that platform. And so Mort's expansion gonna take a beating here. It's just not gonna be able to. He's not gonna be able to field any offensive power enough to really take out this set of rains. Unless, of course, he brings in a warp in. So this is a nice little turn of events. Here Sutee was sitting pretty good with his rains, and all of a sudden the warp in comes in. You can really see the power of that warp in, just being able to draw in ships anywhere that you need to. So what looked like a lost expansion has suddenly turned into just a minor loss of a construction ship. And you'll see that Sutee is pulling away his reins very nicely. He knows he doesn't have the advantage anymore, so he's just going to pull away, not lose any ships, which is really good play, because you really just don't. You want to minimize your losses as much as possible while maintaining pressure, and he saw that he needed to get out of dodge. So Mort's now having the offensive initiative. He's going to move over into Sutee's expansion. There's a nice little back and forth here. And you can see that Mort's focusing on the freighters here, and that's a good thing, because you can get some kills out of it rather quickly and then run. Whereas if you try to sit there and work on those turrets, you'll actually spend a lot of time and you probably won't kill them. And so you'll take damage and get no results. And as it is, he's picking his targets wisely, and he just got that last freighter, and now he really just needs to get out of there. He's done a good job. He needs to go repair, but Sutee has countered this with his own set of rains, and they're just going to pick off the last of these